Okay. Good morning, all of you. So, shall we start our session? Fine. What we have seen in our previous lecture, that is default arguments, right? What do you mean by default argument? What it is actually? It's a new concept in C++, right? What is default argument? Anyone? Quickly. Okay. Are you saying default parameters in a function? Yes. So how we can define the default parameters in our function? There are some rules, right? So how we can declare or how we can give the value to our default parameters in function? How we can do this? Yes, quickly. Anyone? Okay. Ayush is writing. While declaring the function, pass values in an opening and closing braces, right? But how we can pass from left to right or from right to left? Others are just listening, right? They don't want to give any answers. Okay. From right to left, yes. And in between, you cannot skip any value, right? Yes. Right to left, and we cannot skip in between any of the value. So if you want to give any argument to a default parameter, right? So at that time, the task is of the compiler is to check that minimum parameter should be what in your function call, right? So at that time, if you are having four parameters and two parameters you have given as a default parameter, so function call should be there with minimum two arguments. Then three is also allowed and four is also allowed, right? Fine, okay. So today we will see again the most IMP one, that is function overloading. Okay, we will see what is function overloading. This is what we have seen about the default arguments, right? Default parameter. I hope you don't have any query in that. Okay. Now the function overloading. This is what we have talked many of the times, that what is function overloading. Function overloading is nothing but it's a one name but having many forms, right? Or we can say different behavior of an instance depending upon the situation. Okay. An instance that you can say any of a function, any of the function, right? I'm having four different addition functions, right? But it depends which addition function will be called, depends on your parameter, right? So C++ implements the polymorphism through the overloaded function and overloaded operators. The term overloading means it's having two or more distinct meanings. And the overloaded function that refers to a function having one name but more than one distinct meanings. Right? So say suppose I write something over here. Fine. I'm having different versions of the addition function, right? Here right now I'm not concerned about the formal parameter variables, right? I'm just writing data types, okay, in function. Here is one kind of function. Now again I would be having another function, but that is of add only, and it will be having, say suppose, three parameters, okay, but three integer ones. It may possible again one more addition which would be having one integer and one float parameter. That is also possible. Again one more, I mean float one, maybe its return type is float, right? And it would be having such kind of things, right? So here you can see that my function name is same everywhere, okay? Function name is same, but it will behave differently according to their parameters, right? Here is the meaning of this function is this function will do addition of two integer numbers. Whereas here in this function, this addition function is doing the summation of three integer numbers, right? It depends, fine. Here it would be having one integer and one float number, or maybe it is one float and the another integer number. These two are totally different functions. These two are totally different functions because not because of the return type. Just ignore about the return type because the order of the data type is different. Here first is integer, then float, and here first is a float and then integer. That makes difference. Here if I'm having two arguments a and b, and when I'm calling this function, so this means that a is first integer one and b is first float. Here the meaning has been changed. Here a is the float and b is the integer one, right? So you can understand these two things are totally different. Getting my point? Yes or no? Anyone? You are getting the things? What is function overloading is? Then we can move ahead. No answers means yes. Okay, Ayush is saying yes. Fine. So, similarly, when two or more distinct meanings are defined for an operator, so it is said to be an overloaded operator. Fine. And our whole unit, that is unit number 5, that is dedicated for this overloading, right? But overloading of operator. So, it's operator overloading. Okay. And here, this unit is all about the functions. And we will see function overloading in this unit. Fine. So a function name having several definitions that are differentiable by the number or the types of their arguments. Or a function overloading not only implements polymorphism but also reduce the number of comparisons in a program, and thereby it makes the program run faster. Fine. So here user don't have to do any comparison, as we have this example before also. Like if I'm having addition 1, this is about the C language, right? If I'm having word addition 1 where I have passed two integer arguments, right? Another function where addition 2, the function name would be different, of course, where I have passed two float numbers, right? Then this would be float maybe, right? Then this is again the void addition 3 where I'm passing integer, integer and integer numbers, fine. Or I would be having lot many different function, add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, around 50, for example, right? Void add 50, and it would be having something like this: integer, float, integer, float, 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 integer, such kind of arguments, right? Because number of parameters will be increased at the last. So say suppose if I need to call my function, now we'll come back to our function call, okay? So if I want to call my function and I'm having my integer main over here, okay, here I would be having integer a comma b comma c comma d, this kind of integer parameters, and in float I'll be having p q r s, something like this, okay. And whenever I'm calling my function, these values maybe I'll take from the user, or maybe I'll take directly the static one, that a is equals to 10 and b is equals to 20 and like this, fine. But at least getting my point that this 8 parameters are 4 integer one and 4 are the float one, okay, fine. Then whenever I'm calling my function like this, add a comma b, here it still remain that which function will be called, okay. You need to go for it first. This is integer, this is integer, where this prototype has been matched at the very first, I mean over here. So this is your add one, right? So here you need to call, okay, this is my function add one. Getting my point? Now this is your task, that you have to check it out, that okay, which function I have given it as such kind of prototype. Now somewhere I need to call the function like this, p comma q. So I need to check that okay, which function is this first, right? I'll go, I'll check, okay, float and float, this is my addition 2, add 2 function. So I'll make it as add 2, okay. And somewhere, say suppose I need some function where I want to pass one integer, one float, okay. So one integer a, one float means p, again one integer b, again one float q, integer c, again float r, d integer and float s. I want to give the values like this. Now I need to check which function is this. So from all these 50 functions, maybe whatsoever I'm having, I need to check which function is having such kind of prototype. So I can give my function name like add, for example, let's say suppose 37, 38, 45, whatsoever the function name which is having such kind of prototype. So I need to check every time. Getting my point? Yes or no? Fine. Instead of that, in C++, it's so easy by the function overloading, because now here add 50, add 34, 35, such kind of functions we are not having. We are having only one function named as add, right? Only add. That's it. So what will happen? Whatsoever the prototype is there, and whatsoever I want to call, I don't have to check which function is this. Fine. Now it is the task of compiler. That compiler need to check which function is this. Of course, right? So here I'll simply call this add and this function. Now whichsoever the add function from this 50 function, the compiler will find it for me and return me. Getting it? Yes or no now? Anyone? So I can get to know that you are getting the things. In between asking this, it is not like that every time checking that you are there or not. It is all about that you are getting the things or not. Okay. One person is replying as always. Okay. Fine. Fine. So again, over here, function overloading is not only implements the polymorphism, but it also reduces the number of comparisons in a program. So thereby it makes the program run faster. So here, for example, you are having this two functions. Okay. Now my question is this: float divide integer a and b, and float divide float x and float y. These two are totally different functions. Now, where it is said to be as a function overloading, where two or more functions are having same name but different arguments, or a type of the arguments, or the number of arguments, right? Getting my point? Having two different arguments, then this is said to be as function overloading. In any of our program, if I'm having only one function, right, I'm having only one function over here in integer main, right? And when I'm calling this function, is this said to be a function overloading? Is this said to be a function overloading? No, because I'm only having one function named as addition and I'm calling that function as a normal function. So here is no function overloading. But yeah, it could be a function overloading if I would be having again the same named function but with the different parameters. Fine. So at least in my program, minimum two functions I would be having with the same name but with different arguments, then it is said to be as function overloading. Getting this? Hopefully. Okay. So the key to the function overloading is function's argument list, which is also known as the function signature. Here, how you can differentiate that these two functions are totally different. So, based on the signature of the function, and the signature is what? Your arguments, not the function's return type. That will not enable your function overloading, but only your argument list, which is known as your function signature, that enables function overloading. A function's argument or number or the type of argument is known as function's signature. So let's have the example. When I'm having this integer add, okay, integer a comma integer b, okay, and when I'm having void add, I'm having integer x comma integer y. These two functions are different or the same. Okay, these two functions are different or the same. Who will answer? Chalo, Dhrutik, Dhruvil, Drashti, Dwarkesh, Ghanshyam. Anyone
Yes, ma'am.
whose name I have taken, they will only answer. Yeah, these two functions are same or different? These two. You are having two options only, either same or the different one. At least you can answer something. Anyone? So these people are not available or what? Yeah, Utsav is replying, but I see Dhrutik, Dhruvil, Drashti, Dwarkesh, and Ghanshyam. What? Yes, but Dhrutik, I'm not taking attendance. I'm asking that these two functions are different or not. That what I'm asking. Don't say yes. This is not your attendance. Yeah. Okay. These two are the different one. Okay. Different one. No, only these two functions. Only these two. I'm not passing anything. I've already given this function definitions. This is my functions. These two functions are same or not? This is my question. That's it. Integer add, integer a comma integer b, void add, integer x comma integer y. So the answer is that these two functions are same, not the different one. And same functions are not allowed to write, right? in our C program also, if you are writing one integer add with some value, and again when you are writing something like this, void add and something, then your C compiler will give you an error. Why? Because two functions with the same name and exactly copy, right? This is not allowed, of course. Okay, otherwise compiler will confuse which function to call. If both are having the same signature, whom to call? If somebody will say just call Dhrutik, right? But which one? Because two different persons are there, so only with the name I cannot compare it. So with the signature means with your last name, I can identify that okay, these two persons are the different one. Okay, one is Dhrutik Dapa and one is Dhrutik Salya, right? So only with, I mean, these two are the Dhruvik and Dhrutik, but say suppose if they are having the same name, okay? So that way you cannot uh, call two same functions, or you cannot write two exactly copy functions in function overloading also, because it need to be changed, right? Otherwise, if you are writing the same function, then compiler will get confused that which function to call. Here I already said in theory, again read it and then I'll give you the answer. Why? Here it is said to be that return type is not your signature. Fine. Your signature is what? Functions argument list and the number of arguments or the type of arguments. That too you can consider. This is your function signature, but return type is not your function signature. It's not actually differentiating between your two functions. Getting my point? So if two functions are having the same number and type of the arguments in the same order, then they are said to be have a same signature. And your formal parameters will not actually differentiate it. Fine. Here I have written A and B, and here I have written X and Y. It doesn't mean that these two functions are the different one. No, right? These two functions are the same one, because in formal parameter you can take any of the variable name. Who cares, right? They are not differentiating your two functions. Okay, so these two functions are having the same signature, and even if they are using the distinct variable name, it doesn't matter. For this instance, following two functions are the same one. Same thing that what I have written over here. Here integer and void will not differentiate these two functions different. Okay, because these two functions are the same. Because return type is not function signature, right? At the time of calling, compiler is not checking, okay, what is your return type? No, it will always check your prototype, means your arguments. So here you have written integer, integer. Here also you have written integer, integer, right? And if I'll just remove this formal parameter, then just see these two functions are copy different. As I already say, return type is not considered at your function signature. So see this. This is control C and control V. These two functions are totally same, and this is not allowed. I hope now you are getting my things. Yes or no? Because in 1 mark question I'll give you two functions and will ask is this functions are same or not. Then you should answer if it is given like this, these are the same functions. Getting yes or no? Yes, Ayush. Fine. Okay. Now to overload the function name, all you need to do is declare and define all your functions with the same name. Name should be same, but signature must be different. Getting this thing? Name should be same, but signature must be different. Okay, so separately for each and every instance, this is the code for sqr function. Say suppose first time I have written this void sqr integer I. So this is overloaded for the integer one. Second time I've written void sqr, but the argument is different. See, if you are having number of argument only one, so fine. First time you are having integer. Second time you are having character. Third time float. Fourth time double. So this is valid, right? Because this sqr is overloaded for integer one. This sqr is overloaded for character one. This sqr is for the float one, and this sqr is for double one. Fine. So this four different functions are having different meanings. In this function, I'll write that okay, the square of the integer number is this. Here I'll simply print that the square of character is not possible. In this function, third function, I'll write that okay, the square of this float number is this. Here the square of this double number is this. So these four functions are totally different than the others, right? So this is valid. If the signatures of two functions match exactly, but the return type is different, the second declaration is treated as the erroneous redeclaration of the first one and flagged at the compile time as an error. That what we have discussed just, right? Here I am having float f, here I am having float x. If you will change just the formal parameter name, it doesn't mean that you have changed something. No, it will only check the data type, not the formal parameter. A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z, whatsoever you would like, you can take it as your variable name. That is completely fine. But these two are not the different function, because just by changing the return type, you are saying that these two functions are different. Then no, this is not the different function. The second declaration is your redeclaration of your first function, and it will flag the compile time error, because compiler is getting confused that which function I need to call. Okay. So functions with the same signature and same name but the different return types are not allowed in C++, and you can have different return types but only if the signatures are also different. So here what I did is, here is a float square. This is first function float f, fine. But second function I have changed over here, that is double square, but instead of float I made it as a double D. So these two are the different signature and this is allowed because one is float and one is double. Data type is totally different. So now this is allowed. Getting it? Yes or no? Fine? Okay. Here now thing is how you are calling the overloaded function. How you will call it. So overloaded functions are called just like the other functions, right? The number and the type of arguments determine which function should be invoked. So let's see, over here I'm having sqr and in single quotation z. So which function will be called? This one, second one, because among these four function compiler will match. Okay, here is the character one. So this second function will be called. Second time I'm having sqr of 13. So 13 will be treated as an integer number. So at that time this first wala function will be called. Third time I have given some double value. Okay, this 134.52000012 and some such kind of value. So this will be treated as your double value and the square of this will directly call this function, last one, which is having double data type. And the last, that is 12.5f. This f denotes for float, right? So we can differentiate between double and float. Getting? Otherwise by default it will take double, right? But if you want to consider it as a float, then you have to write f. So it will considered as a float. So this function will be called. Getting this, how to call a function? Fine. Here, declaration and the function call. Again, we will see this thing, so you will get to know or you will be having a clear idea. Here my return type is integer, integer, and here double. So I'll directly focus on this part, right? Here I'm having one function addition, add two integer variables. This is my first function prototype. Second, three integer variables. Second prototype. Third function is having two arguments. Here also two arguments, but here this two are the integer, here this two are the double. Now again over here, it would be having first argument as an integer, second argument as a float. Here, order is different. First is a float, second is an integer. Getting my point? So I can say this thing. You know digital electronics, right? D. So if I'm having this 2 raised to 2, it would be having 4 number of possibilities, right? And if I'm having only two different data types, but three parameters, okay? First is data type, and the second one is parameter, okay? So this will be having different 8 combinations. So you can understand this 0, 0, 0, 1, then 1, 0, and 1, 1. So same way, if I'm having two different parameters, one I'm having integer, integer. So this is valid. Second time it is, first is integer, and wherever there is one, that is float. Say suppose. So this is your float. Okay. Third time, add. First is your float, and second is your integer, right? Because wherever is your zero, that would be your integer. And third time, float and float. Getting my point? Yes or no? This is same way like this. You will be having this many possibilities in your function. So if you are changing order of this float and integer, these two are totally different functions. This and this. Getting it? Somebody will unmute and answer, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So here again, right? 0, 1, 1. Then 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1. Then 1, 1, 0, and 1, 1, 1. Okay. So here, can anyone tell me the different data types of this function? Anyone can unmute and answer if they wish to. I'll wait for 30 seconds, else I'll only reply. What else? Anyone who can tell me the data type of with only two different data types, right? I'm having only integer and float. If I'll consider four different data types, like one is integer, one is float, one is character, one is double, then the possibilities will be 4 raised to something. Then how many number of arguments that you have allowed, right? That many functions will be there, of course. So I think you are very good at digital, so that is why I've given you this example. Anyone who can tell me the data type of this? No one? Fine. Here I'll be having 8 different possibilities. So wherever I've written 0, that would be my integer, 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 right? So first is integer, integer, integer. I'm having 3 parameters now. Okay, so 8 different function I can make from this. Second time I would be having add integer, integer. One is float. Okay, then integer. Second parameter is float and integer. Then integer, float, 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 integer, integer, float, integer, float, 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 integer, and float, float, float. These 8 function I can make. Yes or no at least? इतना तो बता दो. You are getting the things that how many kind of functions are the valid one. Okay, this many functions you can make. Yes, Darshan, any doubt in this? Fine. So this way I'm having this 5 different prototypes. Okay, same way. So how I can call this functions? So it would be like because I'm having something in my return type. So after all, this function will throw something, and to catch that value, I can have either third variable, or the best option is you can call those function from directly cout. So I did the same thing, right? From the cout I've called this function, and I've called add 5 comma 10, say suppose. So here the 5 is treated as an integer, 10 is an integer, so which function will be called? First prototype. So which function is called prototype 1. Second time I have given 15 comma 10.0. So 15 is an integer and the 10.0 is the float one. Okay. So because here I'm not having any functions with the double, so there would be no confusion. It will always call the float one because it will find float only, right? So no need to write F over there. So 15 and 10.0, this will call the prototype 4 because one is integer and second one is float. Third time, both the float variables I have given, or means both the values with the point. Okay, so either it will find float or the double. So here I am having already double one. Okay, so it will directly call this 14.5 and 8.5. This both are the double values. Then second one, integer, integer, integer. So this will be called, and the last one, first value is the float one, but second one is the integer one. So that will call this function. Getting my point how the compiler will match this? Actually, this is the task of compiler now because I'll simply write add, fine, and then whatsoever the argument I'm having. So now this is the task of compiler, that compiler will find best match for us. Okay, best match for us. This is the task of compiler because I'm writing only add. Now there are lot many add functions, right? But our task is reduced. Okay, so now here is the process. This is what the user needs to know, that how to declare a function and how to call a function. Okay, but now here they've explained what is the task of, you can say, compiler. How compiler will find the best match and at what time compiler will give you an error. Okay, so here a call to overloaded function is resolved to a particular instance of a function through a process known as argument matching. So argument matching involves the comparing the actual arguments of the call with the formal arguments of each declared instance of a function. Right? It will match every instance. Means you are having 50 addition functions. So with that, it will match. So there are totally 3 possible cases. Right? One is you found a match. Okay. Second one is we didn't found any of the match. Third is, this is important. Third is the thing where we are having ambiguous match. So more than one defined instance for a function call, and that will cause an error. So wherever compiler is getting confused that which function I need to call at that time, it will raise an error. That is for sure. So compiler should not get confused. Okay, so you have to write your function in that way, or you need to call your function in that way. So if the type of actual argument exactly match with the type of the defined instance, then the compiler simply invoke that function. For example, I'm having void function fun, and I'm having one integer argument, one is double argument. Here I'm calling function of 1. So this is your exact match, right? One is treated as an integer and I found one function. So here no problem is there, right? But the problem is that where we are not finding the exact match. So at that time, the compiler use integral promotion to your actual parameters to find a match. Like the character will be converted into integer or float can be converted into double. So this thing will be possible. So here, say suppose I'm having function of a. This a is nothing but a character because it's written in single quotation. Okay, but I don't have any function with the character one. I'm having only two function, one with integer, one with double. But here I'm passing character. So what I need to do? So here this thing is possible that you can convert character to integer. Means compiler will do that for you. You don't have to do it. Okay. So this is known as your integral promotion. So this a will be converted into the integer value, means 97, right? The ASCII value of the character. Now here, when either of them fails, right, you are doing your integral promotion even, but then also you are failed to find the match. Okay, that time what the compiler will do? So it will try to use the built-in conversions, the implicit assignment conversions to the actual argument, and then use the function whose matches the unique one. So it will do implicit assignment conversion. So if the conversion is possible to have multiple match, then the compiler will generate an error. Directly see the example, you will get to know. Here I'm having two functions. One is square who is having long argument and one is square who is the double argument. Now here the function call where I'm passing square of 10. Now square of 10 means what? 10 is an integer one. So I didn't found any perfect match because here no integer function, right? Who is having integer argument. I'm only having long and double. Now what this implicit conversion will do? This argument can be converted into long even, right? Because integer is a 10, so we can even consider it as a long, right? That is also possible. And we can convert any of the value to the double also, means 10.0. Many of the times in function even it happens that we have taken our parameter as in float, but we are not actually passing the float. We are simply writing 10 and the 20. Then this 20 will be converted into the float, maybe that 20.0. So that is the different thing. But you used to write the integer values only at the time of function call. So this thing happens, right? So at that time, it can be converted in both. Now the compiler will confuse that where to convert it. Both the things are the possible one. So here the compiler is confused. So at that time, it will raise an error because thereby creating as an ambiguous situation as to which version of the square should be called, either long or the double, right? Because in both the cases, it is possible, right? It may be a long or it may be a double. So at that time, the compiler will raise an error. But this thing will happens only when you are passing any static value, huh? At that time only. Otherwise, if you are taking any fixed data type variables, so at that time there would be no confusion. Say suppose I have taken long L, right, and I have taken over here double D, and when I'm taking this value from the user and user have entered whatsoever it is, over here 10 or over here 20, whatsoever the user have entered, when I'll call my function like square with L, then obviously it will call which of my function with the long value, right? And when I'm writing square of D, it will always call my function with the double parameter. Okay. So there would be no confusion, but confusion is where I'm writing like this or I'm writing like this. Right. So at that time this thing will be confused. Okay, this 10 is considered as a integer and 20 is also considered as an integer. Now if I'll convert with 10.0, then also problem, because this argument can be converted into long also, right? So at this time, compiler will get confusion. So wherever the compiler will get confused, at that time it will raise an error. That is for sure. Okay. And so here the function overloading is over, and at the last in your syllabus, um, they've just declared that the friend is also one kind of function and virtual is also one kind of function, because this chapter is all about functions, right? But this friend and virtual functions that will be introduced in your later on units, right? Once you will aware of the class and objects, at that time, in even in operator overloading and in our fourth unit class and object, we will see how the friend function will work. Okay, so this topic and the programs related to this friend function, that will be there after this fourth and fifth unit. And the virtual function will always work where your inheritance concept is there. Fine. So once your sixth unit inheritance will be finished, in seventh unit you will get to know what is virtual function. Hopefully you are getting the things right. So this discussion of these functions has been reserved until after your class and object will be discussed. Okay. So this is about the function overloading. Now we'll see one example I've stored somewhere. I need to find it out. Hmm, C++ programs. Maybe I'm having this T2. Mhm. No. Okay. Yeah. So here is our one program of function overloading, right? Because whenever it is asked in 8 marks, like explain function overloading with example, so at that time you have to explain all the theory of function overloading and a simple example. So I have taken this, right? So at the time of PPT upload, I'll just write it down this program as a slide, right? And then I'll upload. So don't worry, right? So here you can see that I'm having one function that is display. Okay, display. Here, this function display is having three different versions, right? Or you can say three different functions with the same name but different arguments. So all the return type is having the void. I'm using the same function name, that is display, display, display. Very first time I'm having my function with only integer variable, where I'm just writing, okay, integer number is this. Very simple things. Nothing I did something new in this, right? If I'm having one argument, but that is the double one, it will print that your double number is this, and you are simply printing the variable. And at the third time, you are having two parameter, one is integer and one is double. That integer number is this, and the double number is this. Getting my point? Now an integer mean what you did is you have taken one integer variable, one double variable. I have given the value directly like this static, but you can even take the value from user like this. Scene A, B. Simple. But I have taken over here as a static value. That integer is 5 and the double is 5.5. Now I'm calling my function. First time I'll call my function display and in the parameter A. So the type of A will be checked by the compiler. Okay, type of A is what? Integer. So it will directly find your function with the integer data type. So here they found the function integer data type, and this code will be executed. Okay, integer number is this. So in variable 5 will be there, 5 will be printed. Fine. Second time, display of B. So the data type of B is what? It will find out double. So double wala function will be called and this will be printed. Third time I'm having two parameters a comma b. A is integer, b is float. So I'm having one function, a is integer, b is double. I mean float or double. Right? And this execution will be done. So nothing new we did, but here I'm showing you the concept of function overloading that you can write function name same. Okay, for all those function and all these three functions are different. They are not the same, right? So when I execute this, I'll be having the output like integer number 5, double number 5.5, integer number 5, and the double number is 5.5. Getting this? How your function overloading works? But yeah, if in function overloading, by mistake, if you are writing three different functions like display 1, display 2, and display 3, right? And you are calling these three functions display 1, 2, and 3. Then this is not at all function overloading. This is your normal program, right? And you will get 0 marks for the program, right? Because function overloading is having that soul key function name should be same, okay, but only the parameter will be different, right? That is why this is called function overloading. Otherwise you have actually changed the meaning of it if you will write in that way, right? So this way you can overload any of the function in your program. Then this thing also possible that you would be having many function overloading, like I'm having now void addition function over here, right, with two arguments. Then here again I'm having void addition, but here this is for the float argument. So this is also the function overloading, right? This is also the function overloading. Here display is also overloaded and addition is also overloaded. So that's fine, right? I hope you are not having any doubt, and if you are having any doubt, then please let me know. So here we have finished our third unit that is called function. I hope you already know about your mid-semester exams, right? Yes or no? The schedule has been declared and I hope you know. Yes, okay. Fine. So very first paper would be there. Yeah. Question. Okay. So we'll see that our first paper is on which date? Our paper is the first that I know, but date is what? I don't remember exactly. I need to check it out.
24.
Yeah,
24.
okay. So yeah, 24. Fine. So we would be having three units, right? We would be having three units. And next lecture, I can say that that would be your doubt solving lecture. Okay. So in unit 1, 2, and 3, if you are finding any doubt, please, you are having 5 to 6 days to read it out, right? So Darshan and Shruti, I haven't said to write your enrollment numbers, right? Just wait for a while. Yeah. So you can have any doubt, then we can solve in our next lecture, and then only we'll start with the class and object. Fine. After that, we won't get any time, free time for this. Fine. So if you are having any questions in your mind, then we will. Parth, you are in so hurry. I already said that once I'll say that you have to write your numbers at that time only you have to write your numbers. Why you are in so hurry? Everyone, Santosh even. कहाँ जाना है? Fine. Okay, so that's all from my side, and now you can write your enrollment number into chat.
Ma'am, it's coming, fail to send.
Yes, who is facing problem? Who is facing
मैम
problem?
फेल टू सेंड आ रहा है.
Ghanshyam. Maybe don't know the reason. Fine, but I'm having my Google Meet attendance, so don't worry. If you are there,
Okay.
you will get the attendance. Fine.